In totality, the Avatar's work is to uplift mankind's awareness to a new understanding of the nature of life and the goal of existence, including an awareness that all of mankind, without exception, should be treated with care and respect, as in reality we are all one. About this age and the Avatar's role in it, Meher Baba has said, "Avataric periods are like the spring tide of creation. They bring a new release of power, a new awakening of consciousness, not merely for a few but for all. This new influx of the creative impulse takes, through the medium of a divine personality, an incarnation of God in a special sense, the Avatar. The Avatar appears in different forms, under different names, at different times, in different parts of the world. As his appearance always coincides with the spiritual rebirth of man, so the period immediately preceding his manifestation is always one in which humanity suffers from the pangs of the approaching birth. Man seems more than ever enslaved by desire, more than ever driven by greed, held by fear, swept by anger. The strong dominate the weak, the rich oppress the poor. Large masses of people are exploited for the benefit of the few who are in power. The individual who finds no peace or rest seeks to forget himself in excitement. Immorality increases, crime flourishes, corruption spreads throughout the social order. Class and national hatreds are aroused and fostered. Wars break out. Humanity grows desperate. There seems to be no possibility of stemming the tide of destruction. At this moment, the Avatar appears. Being the total manifestation of God in human form, he is like a gauge against which man can measure what he is and what he may become. He trues the standard of human values by interpreting them in terms of a divinely human life. Of all of Meher Baba's acts of service and sacrifice, none was so great as his 44 years of unbroken silence. Begun on the 10th of July 1925, Meher Baba initially said that his silence would be for a short period of time. At first he communicated by means of an alphabet board, and then through a unique system of hand gestures. What is most remarkable about his silence is that it often required great patience and effort for Meher Baba to make himself understood. Nevertheless, throughout all of the trying and difficult situations he had to face, to carry on a wide range of work in many different cultures, he remained totally silent. About his silence, Meher Baba has said, "I have come not to teach but to awaken. Understand therefore that I lay down no precepts. Throughout eternity I have laid down principles and precepts, but mankind has ignored them. Man's inability to live God's words makes the Avatar's teaching a mockery. Instead of practicing the compassion he taught, man has waged crusades in his name. Instead of living the humility, purity, and truth of his words, man has given way to hatred, greed, and violence. Because man has been deaf to the principles and precepts laid down by God in the past, in this present avataric form, I observe silence. You have asked for and been given enough words. It is now time to live them. To get nearer and nearer to God, you have to get further and further away from I, my, me, and mine. You have not to renounce anything but your own self. It is as simple as that, though found to be almost impossible. It is possible for you to renounce your limited self by my grace. I have come to release that grace. I repeat, I lay down no precepts. When I release the tide of truth which I have come to give, men's daily lives will be the living precept. The words I have not spoken will come to life in them. In his later years, Meher Baba intensified the scope of his inner work. His body was badly damaged, not only by the rigorous activity of his life, but also by 2 automobile accidents. He would do little to relieve the pain he went through, explaining that each time the avatar comes, he lessens the burden of humanity's suffering by physically bearing it himself. This is his final sacrifice, and one his close followers could only helplessly watch him endure. Shortly before giving up his physical form, on January the 31st, 1969, Meher Baba said his work was completed 100% to his satisfaction. He stressed, however, that its effects would manifest gradually, as the process of radically transforming human nature by cleansing man's heart of selfishness and establishing a self-giving love in its place would be a very gradual one. His repeated assurance, however, is that humanity is on the verge of a golden age of universal brotherhood, enlightened spiritual understanding, and unsurpassed progress in all areas of human endeavour. Meher Baba says, I bring the greatest treasure which it is possible for man to receive, a treasure which includes all other treasures, which will endure forever, which increases when shared with others. Be ready to receive it.